Hey everybody, this is Brian here, and we're going to be talking about presents, with the approach of the holidays coming up. I thought I would recall in the top 10 format my favorite gifts from when I was a kid. This will feature a few basic facts like the giver, the age I received it at, and the reason I liked it so much. Some of these products or presents, they're a little more abstract and not exactly, wrapped up in a box neatly and with a bow over them under a Christmas tree. Also, I'll tell you with some of these where it's relevant, what happened with these gifts and if they're still playing a role in my life today. Um, okay, let's get on to it. The first of these presents is actually going to be my first guitar. I got it when I was 14 from my father, and it was kind of a Gibson SG style guitar, but more like in the Epiphone brand or, like cheap beginner guitars, kind of, in that $100 price range. But, anyways, it was my incentive personally to start playing the guitar as a whole and to start enrolling in guitar classes when I got to high school because that was like over the summer break before I started ninth grade. So when I actually became eligible to enroll in guitar classes in like 10th grade, I actually did for the next 2 years, and it really helped me, even though my teacher was kind of a dick. Um, anyways, so yeah, thank you so much, Dad, for helping me involve art in my life in a greater format. Anyways, yeah, the guitar has really become an important part of expression for me. And, I was just right now talking to my best friend from high school over the phone. And I was actually asking him, man, what do you think I should learn next on guitar? Because I had just learned Purple Haze from one of those Marty's guitar lessons that's on YouTube. And you can find my cover uh, up there if you want to check it out. Uh, a little bit of self promotionalism. Um, anyways, let's get on to number two on this list, which is Robo Sapien. This is going a little bit more in the traditional direction of toys and children. I got this when I was 10 for Christmas. I saw it on TV and I thought it looked awesome. It had a really cool remote and you could make it walk around all clunky and stuff, very much like the traditional stereotype of what a robot would walk around like. Um, yeah, very clunky. The one con of this toy though is that it was a real battery drainer. It was, from that 2003 to 5 range of before everything plugged in and recharged. Um, this thing constantly died battery wise, and I needed to ask my parents for new ones. And when they didn't feel like driving out, or it was too late, or they didn't have the money, it was a real pain in the ass because I couldn't play with it whenever I wanted, basically. Um, yeah. Number three on here is going to be my Takamine acoustic electric guitar. This was the first high quality guitar that I actually got, and I got it as a gift from my brother Nick, who um, pretty much is like the coolest person I've ever met. Yeah, I got it when I was 18, and he's an awesome drummer too. If I didn't mention that, and so we actually played music with this guitar a lot. With him on drums and me plugging this thing into my amp. Um, but yeah, this has actually become one of I think, my primary guitar. Not just acoustic, but actually electric too. Um, yeah, this was really the first guitar I got that wasn't kind of a Walmart quality one. And I can't wait to play again with Nick. Uh, Number four on here is going to be this remote control helicopter that I got when I was actually a teenager. This was a toy I got from my mom when I was 13. I remember flying it around at the parks and, on sunny afternoon days. Unfortunately, even though I loved this toy, I didn't actually have it for that long because I ended up flying it into a tree, into a branch, and I couldn't get it up, or I couldn't get up there. I couldn't get it up. That sounds really bad. I couldn't get it down, actually, is what I meant to say. I couldn't get it down from the tree branch, which was like 50 feet in the air because this was a public park, you know. Um, anyways, so I didn't have this one the longest, but it's kind of like those drones that you see flying around sometimes. Uh, this one was really cool though. I think that the battery life was decent, and it actually got up pretty high. It had a good range. Um, yeah, Next up on here is going to be a little bit more of an abstract present. This is going to be actually getting to see my dad and my best friend Anthony on my birthday when I turned 25. Because, they both live kind of far away, several hours away, more than several hours away. It's like probably 10 hours away. My dad is several states away, and my friend is half the state away in California, which is pretty much the biggest state, I think. Not population wise, but in terms of ground covered. But, anyways, yeah, let's get to the kind of cliff note things that I picked to tell you why I exactly picked this as number 5 on my list. Um, yeah, like I said, this is meant to be a more uh, non-typical present. It's not like a boxed up gift. It's really um, it's really more reflective of the fact that I consider my whole family to be a gift to me. And, to quote Lou Gehrig, I consider myself the luckiest person on the face of the earth since I got to see them on my special day, and they all live such a long way away. I'd miss them both a lot, and I think that that was probably my favorite birthday. Honorable mention to maybe my 14th birthday, where I got to go to one of my favorite places that I visited like on a field trip at school. Like I think it was in Dennis the Menace Park in Monterey, California. I got to go to the I got to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium there when I was a kid, and I actually got to visit it for my birthday. The first year I started playing guitar, so that was one of the coolest trips I ever took. And everyone was there. You know how sometimes on your birthday not everyone comes? This was one of those years where I actually managed to dig everybody up out of their own, personal schedules and all their prior commitments and everything. Anyways, yeah. Another thing that I got to do recently was to get to visit the Modern Pop Museum in Seattle, Washington, and see Hendrix's white guitar. If you're not familiar with what it looks like, it's the one he played at Woodstock. I actually have a toy version of it right here that my sister got me. So yeah, thanks for that, Laura. Anyways, yeah, this was one of his most famous guitars, and I actually got to see several of his other ones and a number of other ones played by other musicians. But yeah, this was probably the coolest thing I actually got to see in person was Hendrix's white guitar. I guess it would be upside down since he played it. Um, well, now I'm kind of confused since he was left-handed. But anyways, yeah, special thanks in terms of the giver of this present uh, is kind of in a way actually my sister and my brother because my brother gave me a ride up there to Washington. So yeah, thanks for that, Nick. Anyways, number 7 on here is probably one of the more modest presents that's on this list. But, I just wanted to say that, it's not the money spent or the value of the present financially. It's the sentimental value and the love that's put into the thought of showing uh, that you care for the other person. So this is probably one of the more modest presents on this list. It was only $5, and it was a yard sale from a yard sale. It was actually a Chris Jericho action figure that I got when I was 10 years old. I don't have it anymore, but it actually started my WWE action figure collection, which is now over 200 strong, and I've been collecting them since 2006, almost 14 years now. Uh, Once we reach 2020, I guess it actually will be 14 years now. My father got it for me when I was 10, and I now collect these things, and I actually have a whole ringside area. I actually have, the Michael McGillicuddy, the now is the time of the moment. Starting now. I actually have that guy on the commentary table just as kind of a joke. Um, but yeah, actually, these things they mean a lot to me, and I think that even though it was just a toy from like a yard sale that you know was otherwise completely forgettable, I think that this actually made it mean something to me in the grand scheme of things. So yet another thing I can thank my dad for. Number 8 on here is actually really going to be the only thing that I got myself on this list, which is actually going to be uh, my Fender Stratocaster, 2009 Fender Stratocaster. You can see it in several of those covers that I've uploaded of like the recent Purple Haze cover from a few videos ago, or if you scroll about halfway down my page, you can find a Voodoo Child cover. I only have a few electric guitar covers, but yeah, that's where you could see this thing if you wanted to. But yeah, I always wanted to play the same authentic guitar that Jimmy played on because he's like a god, he's like the best guitarist ever. So when I got my financial aid, no, you're not supposed to do that, but when I got my financial aid from school, I got one that second. It's like 900 bucks. But yeah, I got one. Luckily or unluckily, I couldn't get the same color um, that he played at Woodstock. That would have been pretty fucking cool. But um, yeah, this is one of the most important things emotionally on this list to me, and I think that it's one of the best long-term investments I've made, and it kind of shows you that whole idea of don't put all your eggs in one basket, and invest in things long term. Um, so yeah, if you're like young and you're just getting some money, don't just spend it all on ephemeral or temporary things is what that means. Um, yeah, put it into things that are going to matter years from now. Um, anyways, enough rambling. Number 9 on this list is actually going to be something else to do with music. It's going to be a CD player with a headphone jack. This is something I got quite a while ago in like 2008 or 9. Um, yeah, I had to take the bus to school a lot as a kid back when I was in junior high school. So this helped me to wait for many, many long bus rides for the bus to show up, because it was a public bus, not the yellow school bus. So there was a lot of delays, or, rain, or just having to wait because I was too early or too late and had to wait for the next round of them to show up. But anyways, yeah, my favorite artist to listen to on this CD player was always Tupac, and I had this like 50 song Tupac CD that I always put on and I listened to like day after day. And I think that his ability to relay the life in the ghetto, it really helped me feel less alone as a kid going to school on the public bus with all sorts of weirdos and long delays and waits. Um, I don't have this thing anymore, unfortunately, but it served a huge purpose for me in its time, and I acquired other CDs, and I have a big CD collection now. And I think that this Tupac CD actually pretty much inspired me to get deeper into music in the sense that, I didn't just want to play it, but I also wanted to actually make make collecting the actual, you know, some people have tapes, some people have vinyl records, but for me, collecting the CDs, it was just kind of the thing of my generation, and that meant a lot to me, and it still does. Uh, yeah, my dad wasn't a gangster rap fan, but again, thank you, Dad. I can't thank him any more on this list, or else it'll just be repetitive. Um, yeah, Number 10 on here is going to be something from my 14th birthday, which I mentioned earlier, which is an encyclopedia on the history of guitar. This was the year that I had gotten my first guitar from my dad. He'd bought it from a friend, and I hadn't, oddly enough, actually even asked him to start playing guitar. It wasn't in my range of interests. I mean, like, I always loved listening to music, like classic rock, radio, I don't know if anyone lives in the Bay Area, but if you're familiar with 98.5 or Greg Kinn or the Kinsert, which is like the show he puts on every year, I'm familiar with all those things from growing up, and so I loved artists like Tom Petty and Blue Oyster Cult, Leonard Skinner, but I wasn't really into the idea of starting to play guitar. So it's like he just got me one out of nowhere, and that's why I still play today. And this book here, um, it actually really got me into some older musicians like Django Reinhardt and the Quintet du Hot Club de France. And I know I'm butchering that pronunciation, but um, artists further back from the 20s and 30s. My grandparents played Dixieland jazz, but there was a lot of artists such as Fats Waller and um, you know, Django Reinhardt, Errol Garner. I think if we start to go forward into the 40s, like Ella Fitzgerald, um, Billie Holiday, um, yeah, I'm starting to go forward a little bit, of not just 20s, obviously, but I wasn't familiar with a lot of musicians from that era because it preceded me so much. You can tell looking at me, I'm not 80. At least I hope you can tell. Um, but yeah, this was one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten because it helped educate me and brought so much and to broaden my taste in music in general. Also, it had a chord dictionary in it and a lot of technical stuff. So before I enrolled in class to help me with learning guitar, this was one of the main things in teaching myself, actually, Anyways, these are my top 10 favorite gifts that I received as a kid through like my mid teenage years. Please respond with your own choices in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all because you're you, and happy holidays. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the year.